Welcome into our coverage of the Clemson Georgia Tech game this afternoon from Death Valley at Clemson, where the Tigers win it 42 to 21. And don't let the final score fool you. It wasn't that close. The Tigers spotted the Yellow Jackets a quick 7-0 lead. Then they reeled off 42 unanswered to put this one away by the time the game entered the fourth quarter. 9 straight wins for the Tigers over the Yellow Jackets in this series. And none of these games have really been close. Georgia Tech scored in the first few minutes of the game after Clemson's Aiden Swanson failed on a fake punt run, gave the ball over to Tech at the Clemson 25. Tech took it in for a 7-0 lead. That was the first time Tech had a lead over Clemson since 2014, the last time they won in this series. The Tigers responded, and they were off to the races from there. They scored in a variety of ways, throwing the football, running the football, pick six by the defense. It was complete and total domination by the Clemson defense. They totally snuffed out the Georgia Tech offense. They intercepted quarterback Haynes King 4 times. Georgia Tech had 100 total yards going into the fourth quarter, and 73 of those yards came off of 3 runs by Jamal Haynes, their fine running back. The only time that Tech really had any success on offense before the fourth quarter was a few runs right up the middle that broke free for Haynes. Otherwise, the Clemson defense was all over King, did not allow him any time to look downfield for receivers, kept him on the move the entire game. The Tigers finished with 11 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. So the defense gets an A-plus mark for their performance today. And then offensively, Cade Klubnik was pretty good. He was good enough. Again, the Tigers not attacking deep down the field. Their passes were short and coming off the run, and they really hit the running game hard once again with Phil Maffa starting and then Will Shipley coming in. Shipley, of course, injured last week, but he was fine to play today, and he played well. As I mentioned, 6 different Tigers scored, including a Shelton Lewis who had a 46-yard pick six. The Clemson defense ended up allowing 254 yards. 154 of that came in the fourth quarter against many of their backups. So Tigers dominated those first 3 quarters. It was 384 to 100 in total yards going into the fourth quarter. And Clemson, after 3 quarters, 192 yards rushing and 192 yards passing. On the ground, the Tigers had 9 explosives, including runs of 32 and 36 yards, one by Shipley. That was 32 yards for a touchdown, and the other by Maffa. And the longest pass play was 20 yards. So, again, not big plays in the passing game, but efficient was Klubnik. Klubnik finished the day with 23 of 34, 205 yards, and a career high tying 4 touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception. Maffa had 17 carries for 96. Shipley had 11 for 77. And Tyler Brown led the receivers, 7 catches for 41, including a spectacular one-handed touchdown catch that will make all the highlight reels for sure. So Clemson again, 260 yards rushing, 205 yards through the air. The Tigers were good on converting third and fourth downs combined. They were 11 of 22. The Tigers ended up running 81 plays, and they averaged almost 6 yards per rush. And again, the defense was outstanding. So Clemson wins it 42-21, and the Tigers are now 6-4. Hey, they're bowl eligible. Whoever thought that you'd have to mention bowl eligible with Clemson in mid-November, but they had to get to 6 wins. They've gotten to 6 wins. So I think that Clemson, coming off the win over Notre Dame, they built on that victory with this performance today. The domination between that first touchdown by Georgia Tech and then through the end of 3 quarters, it was impressive. Again, the defense just swarmed Georgia Tech, and they had no answers except for busting a couple of runs up the middle. They had no answer on offense for Clemson's defense, and then Clemson's offense was running the football first, Maffa up the middle, Shipley doing his thing, taking the ball up the middle and then veering to the outside. The Tigers just lining up behind the offensive line and getting things going in the running game first and foremost, and then playing off of that. So it seems like offensively they might be hitting on a formula now that they want to carry forward through the rest of the season. Tomorrow night, we'll have coverage of Dabo Swinney and his Sunday night conference call as he talks about this win and he starts looking ahead to the North Carolina game. And then, of course, Monday night, we'll discuss everything with you here on Sports Talk. The other piece of good news, it appears the Tigers came out of the game without any major injuries. Again, Clemson wins it over Georgia Tech here at Death Valley on Military Appreciation Day. Final score, Clemson 42, Georgia Tech 21. Thanks for checking us out here on Sports Talk SC and sportstalksc.com.